In this session, we're just going to call it Getting Started. And first thing you got to do is pick something to transcribe. Let's just talk transcribe first, and later on we'll do translation. Um, you might have something that's passionate to you, something you want to help someone that's maybe blind or are visually impaired or are having trouble with the language. So you pick something. So we're going to pick something from my website. And you see here's all the teachings that we have here with some categories of start, grow, excel, and build a legacy. But here's everything put together. And I'm just going to scroll down here and maybe pick something that kind of recent. Hey, this is survival mode. Let's just see if that might be something, because in business we have to sometimes work through the issue of survival mode. And the first thing I would do is just take a look and see if this is something that's already been done. I'll get it started here. I'm going to stop it. I can't control what's in this little pop-up box. Vim or YouTube does that and just kind of entices you into maybe helping on some other transcribing. And I'm going to look here by that little wheel down here. It pops up. That's the systems wheel, and it says subtitles 1. There's one thing done, but it really isn't, because it says English auto-generated. Well, you'll find that this is not really that accurate, and so we're going to use that. We're going to leave that alone, but this has not been worked on yet. So we've selected survival mode as the startup for this lesson. So now we need to jump over onto YouTube. We're going to ask that you might use your channel if you've already got one. You don't have to have a channel to translate, but there's a reason it would be nice to log in on your channel. But to start things off, I'll just say, hey, here we're into just plain old www.youtube.com. And you'll see over here that no one's signed in. I haven't signed in yet. So if you have a channel, I suggest you do the same as I'm doing. This is me personally. I control all of these 6 or 7 channels for various reasons, but this is me personally. This is me, us, what we're doing in English, and then we have Swahili, Russian, and Spanish, and Serbian down here, but I'll explain that later. But I'm just going to go ahead and log in just like I'm you. So I'm logged into my personal channel. Again, there's a reason for that. If you have one, I can tell it's my personal channel because it has me and my wife and I's picture in the corner. And you'll see over here that I have already subscriptions to, obviously, IBB Talks. I've got a subscription to a couple other channels, but let's pretend that you didn't have a subscription, and so you would just type in IBB Talks. And then, of course, I would recommend that you just IBB Talks, just like you see there. And that's going to pull up our channel. And I would ask then at that point you might subscribe. That way you're not get a lot of stuff, but you're on with us every time, and you can hit that channel over there the next time. This is more of my information, but we're on this top one for English. And so we're now into the channel. I'm going to turn this down so it doesn't bug us, and I'm going to go to the videos, and this is all of our videos that we have, and we have some 200 plus. Not all of them are mine. You could now have already selected something, and we had decided that we would check this one right here, survival mode. If you had the name and you couldn't find it quickly, you could type it up here, but we already know it's down here. So we've selected survival mode on YouTube. Once again, I like to turn that off. It's noisy. And once again, I'm going to reconfirm that, yes, there's a subtitle, but it's in English only, auto-generated. And from that point, we're ready to go on this. So the right hand side here has a selection. Again, I can't control that. Some of this is things I've watched recently, and some of it has nothing to do. I never have seen these, but you'll see these if you're like mine on the right hand side, and disregard those. Most of these, those 2, those 3, those 4 down here, most of these are actually our videos for our website, so I appreciate most of them being ours. Then I see these 3 little dots in the corner. There's where you want to go to add translations. And in adding translations, it's going to pop here and give you some options, and you're going to see here, you remember it was already auto translate there, so it's going to pop right to that point. I'd just like to point out a couple things here as we're getting ready to get started in our next teaching here, but we're actually on the English language. We're in survival mode. I will say that here's this point where I mentioned if you're logged into your own account that you get credit my contribution. So I'd like to do that so I kind of keep track of how many times you do this. I will mention here that when you're done with this, you will submit the contribution. You're contributing to the website. It does not automatically go out on the website, so don't or out on YouTube, because it must come into the manager. That's me, and I approve and confirm that this is somebody we trust and it is a good in this case transcribing, before I actually allow it to go, or your manager would allow it to go out on the YouTube channel for others to see.